imagine of all the stories that you know and I know that people are trying to be the expert in other arenas and they were so wrong.
Welcome back to CashFlow. I'm your host, Jason Yoss, and today I have a special guest, Ryan Stevens. Ryan, great to see you.
Great to see you as always.
So we know each other off
Yep.
camera, so it's great to have you come in. And I really want to get into the weeds on the real estate side of the house, but let's talk a little bit background.
Yep.
Okay, you're a realtor, you're with Coldwell Banker West. Among other things you do, how did you even navigate your way to this space?
I don't even know to some degree because I'm day to day always shocked at how, my life has turned to where it's at. If somebody were to say, Ryan, in 10 years, you're going to meet this person and you're going to, shake hands with these people and make these types of relationships and connections, I would have said, you're crazy. So for me to be here and to be able to continue to build my network and hopefully my net worth in concurrent. So I think it's really important that no matter what you do in life, that you're authentic with who you are and that you do the right things. And I think those two, and show up and work hard. I think those three things are very simple as they may seem.
A lot of people don't show up, so it's half the battle just getting there.
Yeah. So I think if you focus on those things, then you'll be successful in whatever you do.
Walk me through kind of how long, and I know you got a special story about how the date you got licensed. Walk me through that, and then I want to kind of transition into how you make all the other aspects of your life work towards helping clients. So how long have you been doing this?
Okay, so I've been doing it for about 7 years. I got licensed on August 2nd of 2018.
Exact date. Most people do not know their exact date, so
yeah.
With the fact that Ryan knows the exact date that he got licensed.
Well, and I'll tell you, and a lot of people don't have this on record because it's kind of embarrassing, but I think it's important to continue to put out there into the world. So I failed my real estate license 10 times.
10 times, wow.
10 times, passed on my 11th. Not because of my low IQ or anything
Right.
of that nature. It's, one, I'm not the best test taker, but I was also taking it multiple times back to back when I was 18, 19.
Right.
I was young. I wasn't.
You're not a fucking moron. That's
yeah,
100%
so
for sure.
thank you. I appreciate you verifying that. Thank you. But
I think anybody needed to know.
Thank you. But I think it's really important that when you're younger and you're trying to do something and you're hungry enough, that if you never give up, you will finally achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. So I had a mentor at the time who was just continuously reminding me, if you do this and you get that license, you will dominate in that area space. And I thought that was really motivational, and I just kept going. And again, it was funny because at the time my dad was he was an attorney. He passed the California bar exam the first time. He kind of made it
no small feat.
Yeah,
anyway,
in California,
yeah.
And he made it seem like if he was I just got done partying, I took the test, no big deal. So it was kind of funny having that story with him, and I think it's just something that now having my broker's license and being a broker, it really just kind of sticks to why. Because people were like, well, Ryan, if you failed that many times doing your real estate exam, why would you want to do your broker's exam? You don't need it. It's more liability, whatever. I wanted to make it a testament for myself to, continue to push forward.
I love that. And you're right. Tests are not the easiest for everybody, and that test is kind of crazy. But the fact that you stuck with it, most people give up after the first, let alone second or third time. So. Yeah. Talk to me about, because you mentioned mentorship, do you have people out there that have helped guide you along the way?
I would say so. I think especially when you're younger and you're trying to be an entrepreneur and you're trying to be a dreamer in so many different ways, you need people to kind of bring you back to the reality of things, but also have the faith in you that you don't even see in yourself. I think that's so important. And I think if every young person in this country had a mentor, like it would be so powerful. I think, and I don't know if it's because I'm also a part of, Boys to Men, which is a great organization that, helps, young men. But I think it's really important that mentorship and, having, and again, there's so many people I can name, but I do think it's important that mentorship is there.
Encouragement is huge because it's so easy. Like we just talked about the real estate exam, it's so easy to give up. And for all of our entrepreneurs and investors in the space, they've probably all gone through something where it's like, man, this sucks. And to have somebody helping navigate the road, the pathway to success is important. Let's talk a little bit about in the real estate space, kind of your real estate and investment philosophy for you and your clients. What are we thinking?
Well, for philosophy, I feel like my philosophy is I'm thinking, okay, we're buying this together.
Right.
And how would I want to approach this?
Right.
And how should we go about this? How should we get educated on these things? How can we find out as much as we can? Sometimes some would say despise my own, or sometimes gosh, I'm blanking on the word. My apologies.
Look,
but I think
it's
too.
Sorry, I've been there too when I'm working a deal with somebody else. Like I take it personally. Like I want, like, would I take this deal? Would I pass on it? Like it's hard for me to be a third party objective advisor. Like I really am in there with them because I don't want to see one of my clients fail. So.
Well, yeah, and there's been deals where they didn't go through, and I think it was the best thing for them. And I think it's great. And whether they didn't buy anything or do anything further with me, because they were like, hey, we're just going to save our money or whatever. Okay, whatever is best for you and your family that you're making, I think is, again, as long as it's very educated and it makes sense for them, then that's what matters. So sometimes
when you have clients come to you, especially because, we'll talk about it in a second, but you have a bigger sphere outside of just, a lot of people know you outside of being a successful real estate agent. How are you showing them what opportunities they have, on the market today?
I think by I think marketing is so important. I used to own a marketing and media firm, and I think the way you strategize and the way you think outside the box. So if you're hiring somebody, I always tell every potential client that I interview with, if they are interviewing other people, see how their marketing is. Go on their social media, go on their accounts and see how it all kind of looks. I think it's really important to get as informed about who you're hiring because that information will probably save you a lot of money.
You know what? That's such a huge statement, especially when it comes to listing properties. And look, let's talk about your background. Like, how did you start a media company at such a young age? And how do you think, and let's just talk about being recognized. Like, how is it that when you're now as a realtor, you're getting recognized for maybe something, not just your real estate transactions?
Yeah. So it was back in 2022. So the real estate market was going pretty slow, and I don't know why. I just thought, how could I help people, and what would kind of be able to work hand in hand with real estate? And I thought media production, seeing because I love helping business owners. I love helping people figure out what their calling is to some degree, and helping them hopefully navigate through marketing on how to get their business up and running. So I really had a passion in that. So I started.
You're kind of good at it.
Yeah. I felt like I've done pretty good myself. So I thought, why not see if it will help others?
So where did the concept come then that you decided to go with the Let's Talk Real Estate?
So Let's Talk Real Estate was created because I thought, what would be the most open kind of dialogue that we can have, and that would allow it to just make it so people feel free to reach out to me anytime. And it's because I think a lot of people think, oh, I don't want to ask stupid questions, and I'm afraid to ask this. And thank goodness, ChatGPT and other great inventions that are going on right now, I think are helping.
My new real estate assistant, ChatGPT.
Yeah, exactly. I think that. Yeah, I just really wanted to make sure that I created a environment that allowed just as much dialogue as possible.
Did you ever think, I mean, it's a fabulous idea, but did you ever think that it would get as much traction? Yeah. And your point of, man, people don't want to ask stupid questions is so true. Like, I don't want to be the one raising my hand going, asking a question, people going, how did you not know that? So how do you think this opened up where people started feeling comfortable to put out their questions and then it took off?
Because I think people were able to private message me and behind the scenes feel like they were able to have a dialogue and be able to kind of get to, those quote unquote stupid questions.
Right.
So I think
don't tell anybody, but I got a question.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are afraid to, sometimes go a little bit beyond the just basic of, information.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's and I don't know if it's because of either subconsciously sometimes they don't want to feel like uncomfortable or what it is, but there's definitely a lot of that, I feel like.
And sometimes people just don't know the right questions to ask. So your platform has, blown that up. What's your best or your most memorable achievement with that brand?
I think probably helping feed. I think we fed 200 or so, maybe more. I was on the Union. I was in the Union Tribune with a celebrity chef friend of mine, and we ended up feeding the healthcare workers during COVID. And I thought it was just really cool to be a part of that. And I don't know. I think that whatever influence that I can be, that is a positive reinforcement for the public to be able to use. I just think it's really important. I think that's
too many people are so internally focused.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I would say, especially about you, about you're being genuine, like you're a genuine person and being like that giver gain mentality. Like if I'm focused on helping others, like it's gonna feed success back to me. How has this now impacted your real estate career? Do you get a lot of people from that brand reaching out to you, or is it more of like I'm a realtor and they go, hey, you look like that guy on the Let's Talk Real Estate?
Yeah, like there's been
you look like that guy.
There's been because we did do a billboard on one of the major freeways and benches and all these other marketing things, but I do think it's a collaboration of all of it, and I think that when hopefully people get to know me, they feel a sense of, hey, this guy's being honest.
Right.
He's gonna give me the information that I may or may not want to hear, because it's going to be the truth. So that's just how I think, and the branding has just kind of allowed me to be who I am, and it's just kind of emphasized the, I guess, my personality to some degree.
I mean, again,
I talk a lot.
Known you for a while and super genuine, and I love having the conversations. I love the calls. Like, Jason, here's the situation.
Yep.
Can you help me with that? And vice versa. I've always seen you helping and promoting other people. What are some of the pros, but the cons as well, of being well recognized? I mean, look, videos with you with like Dana White and celebrities everywhere. People are like, how is Ryan in that room? Is that your cousin's brother's uncle's sister? But so now you're recognized in addition to the fact that you're a successful realtor. What are some of the pros? What are some of the cons?
I think the pros are that it helps because the more influence that I can get, I believe I'm going to continue to use that platform to give information on what's going on, whether it's locally, maybe throughout the country, whatever that information is that I think is just really important for people to know. I think a lot of people make decisions or comments on things they really know very little about. And that's very dangerous because you don't want to just be, again, it's just like the real estate agents that go, oh, don't worry about it. I know the answer. And they just talk, and they really don't know the answer. They're talking without having the full, the information in front of them. And I think that's something I see in this business that is very concerning, is the over conversation. Because even at open houses and different things that I do, I'll tell somebody right there, hey, I don't have the answer right now, but I will get it to you.
But I'll get back to you, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's something that is really important, because I've seen realtors where they've messed up, they're talking, they don't know I'm a real estate broker, and they're wrong, and I just think that's dangerous. And there's a lot of that, hey, I'm a superhero, you don't need anybody else but me, and that's I think, a very dangerous game.
You know what? That's a great point. Tons of agents stick their foot in their mouth, and just people in general.
Yeah.
And since we're in a legal profession where, look, you have rules of the roads.
Yep.
When agents step out of bounds, like they do need to be careful. And you're right. A lot of people do it. Talked about it online, so you've seen it so much online. Do you have agents put in comments you're like, whoa, that's totally not correct?
Well, it's funny because I look through and I'm like, wow, this is a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
And I guess that's up to interpretation to some degree, but sometimes it's really like, wow, they really don't know what's going on with the current laws or whatever, and I think it's just something that is very concerning sometimes.
Does it make it go viral when you have, and I don't mean it in but just when you have those kind of, not just controversial, but you have those topics where you're getting a lot of people thinking they're experts and they're just firing that out online? Do you tend to go like, whoa, what's going on here?
Well, I just think like, wow. And maybe it's because I do overthink and I'm not ashamed to tell people that. I don't know why. That's, it's
nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it. I knock on wood, I've never been in any legal issues. So, I think it's great, to say that. But I also think it's just really important to double check everything you say and what you do. And it's okay to not be this super, like I tell people, hey, I'm a real estate broker. I'm not all these things. I wish I was that smart.
Attorney,
and it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay to say, hey, I wish I knew all this stuff, but I will get you somebody that does. And I think it's, I don't know if it's an ego thing. It could be that people want to just feel like, oh, I know everything and that's fine. But I just think so much liability, because in my mind, I run through, wow, where is the attorney going to get me? Because I did
When's
this
dad
wrong.
going to come down and be like, yo, Ryan, Pops is a legal guy. Like, what are you doing? You're stepping into my domain. Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
It makes sense why you might have that background thought, but not enough people have it.
No, and I think that is something that unfortunately hurts their client and whoever they're possibly representing, because I think a lot of that, there's probably many, many, many horror stories that you've heard.
Yeah.
I can imagine, and I know that I've heard through these self
gurus.
I think it's a dangerous. I'm sorry I'm using the word dangerous, but I do think it is dangerous because people do lose money. People do have these real stories that are concerning and aren't fact checking everything. So
do you? And I want to stay on this just real quick.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you ever feel like on your own platform again? Do you ever feel like, whoa, this is not an area that I'm not comfortable?
Yeah,
having
and
the public
sometimes
get
I
this
won't
information?
post things because I don't have the full background of the story, and I don't want to be in the crossfire of something that could be incorrect too. So it's definitely something where I do my best to get as many sources of that information. But I guess I don't want to get called out for misinformation either. So I think it's really important to sometimes you have to step back and think, do I really want to post this? Do I really want to put my neck out there and hope that it's right?
I love getting your feedback on this as someone who's, has a larger platform than others and has put out a lot on social media, a lot in the marketing space, a trusted name out there. Like, it's got to be scary. Sometimes you're like, am I pushing the right information? Especially in our domain, like real estate, you could be right, or you could be wrong.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of vagueness here and there, but I do think that it's something that I personally have chosen to. But again, when I speak out, I feel like it's nice because I'm like, no, this is, and again, when you have, and the cool thing is, with my diverse group of friends and different folks in different areas, I think it's really cool because then I'm like, no, I stand with this person, and then he's the one or she's the one taking the charge or the lead on something, and I get to kind of go, hey, I'm in support of it, and kind of go, that route.
Letting someone else be an expert it's kind of rewarding because it's good to support, but at least that person's in charge of something.
Well, imagine of all the stories that and I know that people are trying to be the expert in other arenas, and they were so wrong.
So wrong.
And now their client or their friend or family, whoever this person is,
even worse.
Is getting completely screwed.
You're preaching to the choir. Like, I have a lane as a property manager that I stay in because this I know very well. But yeah, I got a license. It doesn't mean I'm going selling homes or selling commercial buildings or doing commercial leases. Like, it's just not my area of expertise. And what I see and kind of what the point you're talking to is that a lot of people will give information that they think is right, or like they heard somewhere else that sounds. They try to apply common sense, and the real estate law, and especially in my domain, the landlord-tenant law, the common sense, you could just throw it out the window. So
Well, what's scary is
like that.
I think some, and maybe a good amount of people in our industry try to want, they get a client that goes, well, you're my real estate broker. You should know all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they feel like they have to compensate these answers
Yeah.
for some reason.
I don't know. I not know.
Yeah,
Let's just make some shit up.
Yeah, or 1031. Like, again, there's so many questions that are so in so many different categories that I don't know why. I guess in the last 4 years and a little bit maybe more, but I feel like because I remember in the beginning of my career, I was always like, oh yeah, I'll try to get you the answers, but I would also sometimes maybe overspeak a little bit. But
I think it's this, but let me
yeah,
go check,
but I think it was now that I see a lot of people overspeaking, it really makes me thankful that with my clients, when I meet with them, I'm like, hey, I want you to know I don't know everything. Right. I'm confident in saying that. I know for some folks that may not, I don't know if I think there's a overcompensation that's trying to be done in our industry that is harmful to some of your.
I agree.
Yeah.
On that vein, 2 questions for you.
Okay.
One, the first one is, what question do you get the most online? Like, what's the one that reoccurs all the time? You're like, oh, got this one answered before. And then the second one is, I want you to talk to me a little bit about like where you're getting the most feedback. Like, what platforms do you use where you're like, I get the most actual interaction here, like real, genuine, like I can help somebody on this platform. For example, for me, I get to go all day long on YouTube. Like, I can chat and I get back and forth. I get to a lot of the same questions, but I get to interact. Whereas like Instagram, like I put out a ton of stuff. I get engagements, but like nobody's really like, hey, I got a big question.
Yeah. Okay. So, number one question I get is, Ryan, I don't think I can afford to buy a home. I saw this home. What do you think? And so I always, send them 3 different lenders.
Right. Before,
yeah,
again,
it's just so funny because I think
we just talked about this. Yeah, like, I'm not the lender, but let me tell you.
I don't just send them 1. I send them 3. So it's like, I feel like I take a lot of precautionary measures.
We're in full CYA mode if everybody hasn't told. Yeah.
Yeah, and I may, think about going to law school too. I'm still thinking about all these different options too.
We're definitely checking liability right now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, then I do that and I just walk them through how, the vision of hopefully what we could do, a game plan, a customary game plan on what I could do to kind of find them, because I like to door knock. So if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I'm looking in this neighborhood, I will just door knock that whole neighborhood. And I kind of take a John Tapper approach. If people don't know who that is, the bar rescue guy, I don't know. I'm a big fan of his because I feel like what he does is he finds the area. He likes to find the niche and what's going on with that. Why is that bar not successful? I feel like I do that kind of with real estate. Like, why is this not selling? What's going on in the neighborhood? You got to be a little bit nosy, I feel like, if you want to, find out all the stuff that you're trying to find.
I love Ryan Stevens is the John Tapper of real estate. He will get you your home by knocking on everybody's door or getting into their business.
Yeah, and if they send me the criteria, like,
that's awesome.
I think it's awesome.
Dude,
I enjoy it.
Door knocking is such a lost art too. Nobody wants to do that stuff.
I think people are shocked when they either see me or hear that I door knock. Because I don't know if it's because of social media that they think, which is fine. I'm not going to be knocking anybody that thinks I'm some, huge multi-millionaire coming off a private jet every day. I don't know what they think of me because I think Instagram's funny that way. But I think it's awesome because when I do door knock, and even when I had the billboard or the benches, I would still door knock and they'd go, you're the kid on the billboard. I'm like, dude, yeah. But I thought to myself, yeah, but imagine if every successful entrepreneur did that. Like, and I'm gonna probably try to start bringing people with me, kind of as like a show or something funny. Because imagine, you open the door and there's some celebrity something,
You got to get your hands dirty, man.
But I think it's
you gotta
great.
Get your hands dirty.
And I think it's humbling. I love it because it just reminds me of what I did when I first started.
Yeah.
That's all I did was door knock. And I love it. You're meeting all these new people. You're getting all these ideas. And it's really entertaining. It's a lot more.
Every veteran agent, especially the successful ones, especially those who've been successful, have great stories about door knocking campaigns. And even if they stop doing it, they circle back to it. So,
well, think about it, especially if you are successful to the level of which, if somebody's listening right now that is so successful, they have billboards, they have all this stuff, they're the guru, and you may make somebody's day. Like, oh my gosh,
knocking on the door.
Again, I think it's awesome. I think it's a great thing, and it's a win-win for everybody.
Let's, as we got our last couple minutes, I want to wrap up just talking about like what are the biggest challenges you're facing, and then what's our advice to that up and coming young real estate entrepreneur.
Okay. Biggest challenges we're facing, I think, is it's very interesting because it is a very saturated market. You have so many people in the real estate space.
Cousins, sisters, brothers, uncles are real estate.
It's pretty, like it's saturated. And again, it's not a bad thing. Again, I believe those who work get the fruits of their labor. Right. Again, I'm a big, believer in all that. So I think, but it is pretty, saturated. So I think figuring out how to do it when, you may be competing against somebody's cousin. Like realistically, we're at that point where like there's probably, only a couple of degrees from a family member and you probably have a realtor in it. Right. Like, so I think that's a challenge. I think the affordability of this market and the decisions of people investing here and figuring out if it's the right investment, if they're able to make profit. Yeah. I think it's a really tough space. I really do. I think there's a lot of conversations, and that's why it's important to hire the right property management company, the right real estate agent, the right lender, everything involved, because I think it's that critical to make sure you're making the right decision. Right. And talking to your CPA, talking to maybe your attorney, even going, hey, how is this going to look in the forecast of everything? So I think it's really important. And then I think for the new coming agents in the business, if I were to go back in time, I would work on my listing presentation. I would door knock even more than I did, which is a lot. It was probably over $15,000 a year, and it's still like but I would just door knock. I'd be out there. I'd be creating a brand, and just continue to be yourself and push yourself too, though. And try to make a goal every month. I'm going to try to push myself a little bit out of these comfort zones, just to see what I can do to get traction. But hopefully don't make it too cringy. I think just be yourself. I think that's what people need to be.
Being genuine is probably one of the best sets of advice that you can give to anybody. Yeah. Especially, again, super easygoing, genuine, nice guy. That's who you are. Ryan Stevens, Coldwell Banker Real Estate here in San Diego. And more importantly, like somebody who's started young, gone through a little bit of adversity, but built a brand, built a business, did all the trench work, and now you're starting to see over the last couple of years the fruits of your success.
Yeah, that's how I think of it. Just you're planting a seed each and every day.
Yeah.
You water it, you take care of it, it'll prosper.
Ryan.
Thanks, you, brother. Thank
Everybody else, thanks for tuning into CashFlow, the podcast where we talk about turning properties into profits. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.